Tara Franklin. Let's see. Tara is an Akashic Records practitioner and alchemy guide. She is dedicated to inspiring and enabling you to experience the infinite expansion of your life. She is here to remember she is love incarnate and remind others they are love incarnate as well. And we'll have some information if you'd like to work with her and how to contact her directly. Yay. Thank you, Tara.
Great.
Oh, I gotta say
So excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. What was coming to me to talk about was an adventure that Craig and I had on the 4th of July when we went to Grimes Glen, and we thought that we would talk about it together. So, and how that pertains to healing and our journey and perceptions and beliefs and all the things. So we decided for 4th of July we were going to go to Grimes Glen, and we get there and this really small parking lot is jam-packed with so many cars and so many people. We've never seen that many before, and we've been there throughout the years numerous times. So we're like, what is going on? And of course, like, you have people that have no awareness at all that people are waiting to be put into, go into parking spot. They're taking an extremely long time. Where we patiently yet impatiently waited for a spot. And we would watch people kind of come and go and just do whatever they wanted. And eventually somebody was like, oh, we're leaving, so you can take our spot. So like after a half hour of waiting for a parking spot, we get in there. Witnessing everything thereafter was, for me in my world, really eye-opening, because we sat, we had lunch, we observed, and then we started walking in the trail. And it's a path that we know. It's a very, like, we always know that we're going to get to the same spot, and then we walk back. The terrain is always different. We never know if we're going to have, trees to jump over, what the water level is going to be like, what the slime is going to be like on the rocks, all of these things. So if we're thinking about it from our journey and our healing, like, not everything is an even terrain. Sometimes we need to find balance in the slimy, murky things. Sometimes the path is nice and beautiful and clear, and other times there's a lot of debris to navigate. So that was what I witnessed through our adventure, was that. We had people that were following us, and I don't mean to pick on this group of people with the dog, but they were following us. We were all kind of moving together. And here Craig and I are enjoying the mushrooms and the little fairy mounds and the moss and everything, and they're just like trying to get the perfect picture with their dog in the water. And I'm like, how many things are you missing along the way? That's absolutely beautiful. Just so you can have a perfect photo shoot. And it wasn't even like a photographer, it was just like two people with their dog. So we paused and we tried to give some space between these people. And we adventured and navigated some slimy rocks and fast currents. Craig was ahead of me, and he would be like, make sure you ground down, root down, right? Because there's going to be some fast current. And I'm like, ooh, that happens in our journey, that happens in our growth, that happens as we're making some healing progress, that sometimes it's fast and you have to ground down, root down, or you can be carried away with it. So all these little things, and then, the mushies, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're these little teeny tiny yellow mushrooms. Now, I'm not brave enough to be a gazelle to go up onto the landslide thing. Craig, on the other hand, is like, sure, I'll go take the picture for you. So I think, again, we get a different perspective of where he was up there and got to see different things than I did because I stayed on my grounded surface. What do you want to add?
And I'll say from the start, for me, once you pulled in the parking lot where we were, there's really no way out.
Yeah.
So I'm watching spots behind me over here empty, and then cars just pulling in and guys holding spots. And I'm like, obviously you see them waiting for a parking spot. You'd think they'd let me get into one. So for me, it was funny because I'm like, wow, I'm really being forced to be patient. Like, it was torture at first, but then it turned into a conversation, and we got to watch it, and then met some people that were very kind. Say, we apologize we were taking so long, but we will be leaving a minute. Turned into 20, but you know, so it turned out to be okay. And then again with the walk, there's people we witnessed that just stay on the dirt trail. Everybody else, not everybody else, a lot of them go in the water. You see people pushing each other along, frustrated because one's not following fast enough. And it goes from all different heights, waters to, like you said, branches, sticks to, you know. So it was just an interesting day of how we were really observing what was going on around us and being able to stay in our own comfort zone, our lane. And again, usually I kind of go first, and I'll be like, okay, watch this, or it's gonna get deep, or you might wanna go that way while I go this way. And it was just interesting working together instead of seeing people like fight each other and be uncomfortable. And then when we got to the end, there's a big waterfall. There's a couple waterfalls if you've been there. And we get to the end.
It's in Naples.
Well, I didn't understand. What is the name of the place?
Grimes Glen.
Grimes Glen.
Yeah, in Naples.
In Naples.
So there's a couple waterfalls. We don't get to the third one because you got to be a billy goat and climb a rope and really go uphill. But we get up there, and usually for some reason we get up to the falls. You could swim, and then there's all kinds of people. We usually go to the side, and there's like a little cave, and it's super cold. It's not very deep. I mean, maybe from here to the wall, but it's just
fun.
Like a whole different little world in this little tiny spot. But everybody was there. So we decided, and Tara was very brave, I'm gonna take her up to the falls over here. So you gotta wade through, I don't know if it's knee-deep water to go up there. But I'll leave it at, you were very willing to try it, and then we can go back to the...
Yeah. I don't know why I've never wanted to touch a waterfall, like not a big one. Like I touched the little one and whatever, but the bigger one, for whatever reason, just has so much energy that I was always just like, this is a no-go for me, like too close. But going to the other side, which I don't know, we've been there probably 10 or 12 times and never once went to the other side where it was like slower flowing. So I'm like, I want to touch it. So I like billy goated myself over this big log and was touching it. And then it was just amazing, like childlike wonder and awe there. And I turn around, come back, and then there's these people with the dog. And meanwhile, Craig's like, hey, let's try to go up a little closer, like up into this like little nook and cranny of it. And they're like, are you done? We want to get a picture with our dog. So I'm like, just the different perspectives on the same place, journeying to this same location on this same path, and the difference of experiences that we all had and witnessed, if you were paying attention, to that was just like, wow, like neither one of us got mad or agitated or anything. We're just like, sure. I know, it really was. Like normally I'd be like, excuse me. But no, it was just really sure, look it out of the way, whatever. We can come back, same path, same place, different terrain, different cast of characters. So it was just really interesting, like how we can look at the way that things are. Like even when Craig was talking about the rocks, like he'd be like, oh, this rock moves, like when you step on it, because he'd be like, ooh, you know, and so I'd be like, well, maybe I'll step on a different rock, but I can't see. I remember saying that, like, I can't see my feet, and the water's going so fast, I can't see. And, you know, when I'm thinking about that, like, do we often really see where we're going when we're on our path? We don't know what Spirit's gonna give us and what path, like what direction, what's gonna grab our attention. So it was just so funny when I'm looking down being like, I can't see, and then I'm like, well, I'm not supposed to see, I'm not supposed to know, I'm supposed to just trust and go on the journey, and be on the path and enjoy it, whatever comes. So as we decided we were going to have this conversation, yesterday we go to kayak and we go to this lake that we've been to a million times. We meet some really beautiful people that are asking about the lake, about kayaking. So there was a man that was going to fish for the first time there. Then a couple, while we were getting ready, asking about the kayaking spots and where we go, and we're telling them like all about everything that we believe to be true about this place. And as we're paddling, and Craig says, "Hey, do you want to go the same route around the bend and over to the magic spot?" And I'm like, "Sure." 10 minutes later, Spirit's like, "So you think you know everything?" We're paddling, we're on the path, on the journey, knowing where we're going, and all of a sudden there's like this like opening that we never noticed was there before. And we're like, all right. So we go down this little path. Now we're in these beautiful wetlands, and it's almost like its own little oasis of something that was there all along. We paddled by it a million times. And here was this little opening that was like Spirit saying, "Hey, I'm going to challenge your beliefs of what you just told everyone to be true," right? So now we have a different set of belief systems for the place, and ideas and thoughts about it, because we allowed that to come to us and to challenge what we had just told everyone.
Yeah, and it was interesting because the woman who said, "I looked at the map and there's only these two spots. Is there anything that loops around?" I'm like, no. That's it. Like, that's it. And we explained another thing. So I had found this not interesting, but big seagull feather. I just stuck it in my hat for whatever reason. And then that spot showed up, and it was like, I joked, like, "No, I just know we can go this way." And I got where there's no moving water. And usually I'd say, let's stop. It's gonna, but we just plowed through some little areas, went around, and it was amazing. It seemed like it went forever. And then we got back in there a certain point, and Tara loves the turtles and the frogs and everything of nature. And then I turn another way, and we're going, and I'm just like, no. I hear it clean as day, like, turn back around. But we didn't go the way we came in. So I started thinking, what if we paddle another hour, and I got to turn all the way back around and go all the way back. But it worked out perfect. It felt like we were being guided through the whole thing. And we came out where we always paddle, and it's like, how have we never seen this before? It was like crazy.
It was. And when we paddled to the spot that we would normally just paddle by it and looked, you wouldn't, like, the way that the reeds and everything were, it looked like there was nothing there. It was bananas, like absolutely bananas. But on the other side of that, when Craig was like, I don't know, he's like, I don't want to be paddling out here in the, in the dark or whatever. And then next thing you know, there's like this big opening that comes, like literally within a few minutes of you saying that, was this big opening and all this water like rushing towards us. And we're like, okay. And then boom, there's the lake. And we're like, well, this is crazy. So a totally different view from the what did I say, the little reeds and whatever, of this opening. But on the opening side, you see nothing. It was awesome. So I'm like, isn't it funny how Spirit, like, we have an idea of something, and Spirit's like, let's see if we can challenge you on that. Let's see if we can expand on that. Let's see if we can bring a little more awareness, a little more growth, a little more big picture thinking to it, to allow more space for us to grow and expand. And because we've been there a million times, yesterday we just happened to be open to it maybe differently than we were before. Because maybe we just never looked over in that direction. We just paddled by it for whatever reason. We happened to look in that direction yesterday. So those were the little things that came to us talk about, was just how nature can show us that we're on the right path. We are all in the same path. We just see things so differently. We're all here right now experiencing everything so differently by our inner landscape. And the path, that's us coming home to ourselves. It's coming back to our heart and to our light, to who we are and who we be. And we're all on that path. It just depends how we're looking at it.
Yeah, and one of the things that came up, I'll go back to Grimes Glen this was even before that. We were walking the path, and it's like us. There's like no one there, and so that was different and good in certain ways. But we, if you know us, and you guys probably do the same thing, we look for rocks in the water. So I pick them up, and I have to talk to them, and have a conversation, and put them back, and go. And all of a sudden, this lady shows up out of nowhere. She's on the bank, and
The water.
Tara's belief was, I'm getting out of here. So she left for some reason. And I'm talking to this woman, I'm like, where did she, because it's like a bank. You just don't like
You don't just appear.
It's in a gorge. And then she starts talking. And I'm talking back. And she's like, I just want you to know I've been watching you. And she goes, and there's been a hummingbird following you this whole time you've been in there. Like, oh, okay, I didn't see it. And she says, and I see how you act with the rocks and you talk to them. And I said, well, if one wants, if I would like one, I have to ask it. I can't just take it. So I have a conversation to see if they would like to journey with me. Sometimes it's just a couple steps. Sometimes I get to exchange energy with it. So she commented on all that, and I looked down at Tara because she's like stranger danger, and she's down there. Then I look and she's gone. I'm like, and I'm looking at Tara, she's like, where'd she go? I don't know.
Because you would have had to walk by me.
Yeah.
Because I was
what
down
just,
further.
Like, what just happened? Who was this person? And it was like the craziest thing. So we're kind of just talking about same place, same path, but different experience. You know, what you might experience. And it's kind of that is your perception based on your beliefs. And sometimes when you're open to different things, it just, magic happens, I guess. It's just totally different. And then yesterday too was the rain. Just everywhere we went, looked dark, we go, got back to the boat or the car, put the boats in, starts to rain. Right? Go to get the flowers, perfect. Thunder, lightning starts, get to the car, starts to pour. So it was like, I don't know what was going on, but it was like perfect.
So perfect. And also when we got out of our boats, that's where the other couple was. And there was this man bringing in this ginormous, I don't even know how many feet canoe, and he just complained the entire time. And I'm like, sir, if you know it's not going to fit, why did you bring it? Right? Like, so I said to Craig, I'm like, geez,
To
everything
explain
was
that,
great.
there's a handicap
Yeah.
ramp you can put your stuff on. But his canoe is so long, he says it's not really for him. And he's upset that they didn't build something different to accommodate a larger vessel than what for that.
And also adds that he has 20 canoes. So we'll just, sharing that part too. So why'd you bring the biggest one? So I'm like, okay, well, here's a curmudgeon at the end of the day, right? And then we're in the car, it starts to rain, and I'm like, Craig, the wife's coming to your door. He rolls the window down, and she's like, my husband would love to show you and let you use one of his canoes. So I'm like, all right. Changed my perspective on the grumpy old man. And then we had another nice conversation with his wife, and she's talking about her knee surgery and all kinds of things. And I'm like, well, this is interesting, because here I was thinking he was just some miserable old man, and why didn't he bring the shortest canoe? And now he's here offering Craig to show him how to canoe and maybe even canoe race. I'm like, okay, well, here we go with changing perspective and a belief system that I had about someone by the way they were acting in the moment, and poof, totally different. So yeah, there was a lot of these moments that have been happening since we decided to have this particular talk, and Spirit giving us all these different expansion opportunities to get out of our own way and see different perspectives from maybe other different points of view of where somebody might be coming from. Because Craig said, well, maybe he brought the big one because his wife can get into that easier because she just had knee surgery. So maybe the other 19 weren't good enough. Right? So it's possible, right? So, okay. And then at the end of that, it started to rain, so we had to put it back up on his roof anyway. They couldn't even go out. So, yeah, so there was that too. So many beautiful things when we're not even looking. Like, these are things that I woke up and was like, oh my gosh, our trip on the 4th of July was so in depth that we probably don't even realize until we started talking about it. And then we're like, oh right. And then the man that was dragging his wife because he was pissed off that she was going too slow. they both looked miserable. And different different experiences in the same place, all going to the same journey. You know, you go in, you come out. So, and again, the different seasons we've been there. December we went a couple of years ago, and it was kind of cold, but not like snowy or anything. And I found the most beautiful fairy little wand things that had like moss and little growths all over it. And I'm like, here we are in December with the coolest things that you would think that you would only see in like spring or summer. So it just seeing how the path that we believe is going to be one thing can shift and change our just how we look at it and experience it every single time as if it's new. So one of the things that my teachers have always taught us is like, when you wake up in the morning, you're not the same person, you're a whole new person. And so is everyone that you meet. Every single person you meet, they are not the person they were yesterday. So it's almost like I'm meeting you for the first time today, and you're meeting me for the first time today. Because who knows what we just experienced last night, through our dreams, through the day yesterday, and beyond since we've seen each other. So that's kind of how I'm seeing the whole thing.
Yeah, and for me, like again, my perception and kind of how I think things normally, the outcomes are going to be, have really been challenged. And so I ask you to see if you can, see if they're based on your beliefs, you know, your perceptions and someone else's beliefs. Are you just following what you were told? Or, you know, and know we have the power to change it. You can be on that same path 5 different times and then change what you're doing and have a totally different outcome. So, I guess awareness, right? You have options.
You have options and choice.
Does anybody want to share a quick story before we move on? I feel like someone does, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Okay, I had someone show up out of the blue also in my life once, and it is the freaking creepiest thing ever.
Less creepy.
I was sitting at Starbucks with a friend, and out of nowhere, a man was just there. And the Starbucks in Brighton, you come in the back door, and then there's back in the front door. So he had come in behind me, but my friend could see, and he just was there. And he was really disheveled I was like, where, like, did you come from 200 years ago? Because that's all that I could think of. And he touches my face and he goes, you glow, keep glowing. And then he said something to my friend, and then he just kept right on going. And I was like, what was that? So I totally get where you guys are coming from, because when you get that magical experience and that chance to really experience something that is probably otherworldly, it just gets you.
Yeah.
And it's creepy and it's fun,
Yeah.
and there's so many lessons that come from that. So I get it. That's where I'm trying to go. I get it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Oh my God, thank you for telling your story. It makes me feel better too.
And I guess I'll add to when we talk about community, and I don't think Tara will mind me saying, she avoids people out in public. You know, and
It's true.
it was really funny that the people that approached us to talk to us and we interacted with, I mean, it was so funny. We stopped to get a sub, right? She gives me the menu. It's a trifold like you have in your hand. You open up one side, I'm like, it's upside down. Like, right? So then she goes, oh yeah, you gotta flip it over. And, well, then I got like the part closed that I wanna look at, and it's bright, but then the other half is upside down. I can't stop laughing. It was so funny to me, and she's like laughing at the woman at the counter is laughing at me because I'm laughing, and I'm just like, this is like messing my eyes up. But it was, I don't know why I found it so humorous. I just couldn't stop laughing. And then she was like, wow, most people get upset. And one guy told me we need a different printer, and what is wrong with you putting this out? And I'm like, it's just terrible. Like, it just, I don't know what it was, but to me in that day, for the moment we had, it was like, oh, this is perfect. It's just, this is how the whole day was. I wouldn't have thought I'd have half the menu one way and then like going crazy. So that was another thing yesterday. It was just, but it turned into what this poor young lady has at the register, usually a nightmare, she says. And so just like a humorous moment, which isn't always like me. sometimes I'd be, what the hell is going on with this thing? You know, but I was good.
She really didn't know what to do with us because at first she was like giving us this pensive look like we were going to yell at her. And then when she realized that we were just giggling like children about this menu, then she kind of lightened up, and then she shared that she got yelled at by a customer and we're like, over a menu? Like, come on, people. It's a menu. It's not that serious. So,
Anything else you want to
yeah.
add?
No, I think that's it. Anyone else want to share anything? You don't have to.
Okay.
No? Okay. Thank you.
Jess, I was trying to call you for